night, Brooklyn. Well, I'm so glad to see you again. Thanks for coming in. I'm sorry, last week I was just so busy and we had to reschedule. So, again, thank you for making some time to come down here. So, how's everything going lately?
Like, I feel like my life is falling apart right now, and it is the worst possible time, like with school and everything, but everything is just like crashing and burning, and so I'm happy to be here too.
Good. Tell me what's going on.
Well, like I've talked to you a little bit about me and my husband and the issues we were having, but like I finally came to the realization that like we need to separate, and that's been really hard.
I can imagine, yeah.
And then along with that, like the things with my little brother, just every time I talk to him, I just am crushed, right? Like he has, you know, his own mental health issues, and he's still homeless. And so he reached out to me today, and was telling me like he didn't get a job within like the time frame the shelter gave him, and so instead of him having a bunk and a bed to sleep in at night, like he has to sleep on the floor in the cafeteria there. And I'm just like, and his backpack has to stay outside.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm
do
like,
they have like something to watch, somebody to watch them?
No, like, and stuff gets stolen there all the time, and he has like one backpack with a couple outfits and his computer.
Oh my god, his computer's like, in there?
Yeah,
he can't even bring that inside with him?
Well, maybe he can bring his computer, but like,
yeah,
his bag
it's all his
out.
belongings in the bag. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I'm just like, this is, like, I know, like, right, like I've tried to help him, and I know, like, people there have tried to help him, and there's nothing that we can do if he doesn't actually want to make the changes to be on his own. But then he started to talk to me about, like, he found a job as a cook, and he only lasted one day. And I asked him why, and he said he couldn't even like cook an egg because his anxiety got so bad.
Oh my.
And he left.
Yeah.
And it's like, for someone to have that bad of anxiety is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Especially when like you know that person. And I feel like everywhere, you know, like he's made a lot of choices and has declined a lot of help, but I feel like every time he tries, like this, you know, it's just those symptoms are so bad, it just gets in the way, and he just sits in this like endless cycle, and it's just hard to
see. I can see that. I mean, it's showing a lot with you. Like this is something you're holding heavy. And I mean, we've talked before. Like you've got grad school going on. You got your husband and the situation with him, and now with your brother, and it's got to be difficult trying to hold all that together.
Yeah.
Have you talked to your brother about like ways of helping him cope with some of that anxiety? Like I know that's in your training, right? And it's something, it's hard with family, right? Sometimes we just have to lead them to someone else because putting that on us as family, therapy and family doesn't always work out as well as we would hope or would like.
I've tried for years, like to get him, just to give him like little bits of what I know, things that have like helped me, you know, just trying to like be a big sister.
Yeah.
And that gets shot down really quick. And then, but even like connecting him, like a counselor and like a med manager and like, you know, a case manager could like really help you like make these connections, and he doesn't follow through. The only one he did was he connected with a med manager for a little while, but then he immediately started using like abusing what he was given, and he was just searching for that high, and it's like,
oh
my god.
It sounds like he's really using a lot of his resources, but not the way they're intended to be used, and you're putting in a lot of emotion in this. Like it seems like you're doing more work than he's doing.
Yeah.
So when you're having these conversations with him and you're feeling really like you want to help him, you want to be supportive of him, and also how are you taking care of yourself, because that's a lot in addition to your whole family life.
Yeah.
How are you like helping yourself to kind of recognize what I've done to help him, and he's continuing to kind of use, I don't want to say use,
no,
but
it's okay. I mean,
it
it's
seems
honest,
like
yeah.
that he's just using that, and it's like, until at what point are you able to call quits? What do you think you would like, where do you want to like draw the line, I guess is to say, because I mean, how are you feeling with all of this going on? Are you feeling good every day with yourself
No.
and how it's impacting everything?
No, and I've definitely recognized how, like, when my brother goes through this, how it impacts me. I feel like there's just always been that extra pressure on me that I put on myself, but also like family, like being in the field that I work in. Like, you're the helper, you're the one, you're like the smart one, like
fix him.
Fix him. And
That's
I've
a lot of
always
pressure.
held that. Yeah. So like in the last year, I've really worked on like recognizing the pressure that I've absorbed and placed on myself. And I there's a piece in me, like I recognize like I've tried and there's nothing I can do, and I try and look at it through maybe a different lens, like, you know, as like a social worker, right? Like a client comes in, it's still very heartbreaking when someone continues to ask for help, but then they encounter these barriers or they don't make changes. But at the end of the day, it's like I know I tried.
Yeah.
And it's just I go in circles with him. Like, I recognize that, I'll tell myself that, I'll finally get past it and I won't talk to him for a while. And I purposely like don't reach out because I know, or like I make that assumption, like I know how it goes every time. And
well, that's your protective mechanism, right? Like if this is how it's responding, like I don't need to jump the gun and start the process of him asking for help. And that's really hard too, because you also want to know when the good things are happening, right? Like, are you missing out on the good things by not reaching out? So that's really difficult. So you said that you imagine the pressure and there is actual pressure from your family. Have you had any kind of conversations with family about like what that does to you and how it can negatively impact you and the way that you think about yourself?
Yeah, I have recently had a conversation with my family about how it impacts me, and like completely broke down. Like, I can't be the one, like I want to be here for everyone, and I love everyone, but when everyone comes to me for him and these reoccurring things, like it's just, it takes a toll on me, and that's all I can think about. And they were really supportive, especially my mom. You know, she's also like, you know, tried to help him, you know, and unfortunately, like, he burnt bridges with everyone, and I was the last person that he came to.
Well, for starters, I want to say, like, at the start of our sessions back when, like, you were having problems with like putting those big things on your family, and so I want to say that I'm incredibly proud of you for, you know, building that strength to open up to your mom and have them recognize when you're struggling too, because I know that can be really hard to kind of let that go. It almost feels like we're kind of putting it on someone else. However, it is a release for ourselves, right? It feels better to get it off of our chest, and that's really important, especially when you're carrying all of these things. So I want you to recognize that strength in yourself and the growth that you've made, and that ability to say, like, this is too much. And this is what you need to hear, and I have the ability to tell you that. So
thank you. That means a lot. It's gonna make me cry.
You're welcome. I want to be able to help you plan ahead for some of this stuff, because I know it's gonna keep going, right? And like recognizing like when these hard things are happening, what can I do? You know, how do I like help myself feel better? And sometimes some of those skills we can use is like the accept skills, right? Like I have to be able to accept that this is going on, and use different techniques like to help myself to come back. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm following you.
So that like when you're overwhelmed, like there's only so much that you can do. You know what I mean? Like you can't lay in bed at night thinking about what he needs and how you can be doing these things, because it's not helpful for you, and it's not reality, right? You can't make him do anything. All you can do is be someone to listen at this point, because that bridge is burnt. So how do you help yourself recognize I am doing the most that I can do, and by me still showing up to be that listening ear, that is something. Because it's incredibly important to still have those people in our lives. So I know that this isn't really going into our treatment plan that we made, or working on you know, some of that communication towards your husband, but it is communication with ourselves. That interpersonal effectiveness, it also applies to ourselves. So how am I feeling about myself after that conversation with my brother, and not taking it so hard that you're just ruminating and not allowing it to kind of consume you. So have you tried, you know, writing things down that you would like, I wish I had said this, and then kind of writing it down and then reading it through, and then recognizing like it wouldn't have helped really to tell him these things because it's something I've said before, but it feels good to kind of get that stuff out, so that you're able to feel like I'm doing what I can. You know what I mean? And if what I can do in this moment is to kind of help myself so I can still be there for him later on. Like, I mean, this is the kind of thing that happens with addiction, and it's really difficult for the family members to go through. So
I like that idea.
I was also wanting to see if you were interested in joining some of the support groups that they have for some of the family members. I think we talked about this last time. Did you look into any of those support groups at all?
I didn't, but it has been on my mind. I think I didn't because of just
everything else. Yeah, no,
but I do recognize like how like talking about it. Right, this is the first time I've been seeing a counselor, and recognizing how helpful it is just to like verbalize what's going on and not hold it all in. So I think I'm in a place where I would like to share my experience and like hear that from other people, and
because you're definitely
feeling, I guess.
You're definitely a caregiver, right? I mean, you've really been taking care of everybody. And sometimes we have to stop and take care of ourselves too. So I did want to get into if you feel okay with transitioning to what's going on with your husband. So tell me a little bit, like from the last time you guys were talking about, you wanted to get some communication skills with, you know, trying to be able to more effectively talk with him. Has he been receptive to any of these? No, nothing.
No, and I think that's what it's one of the things that like led me like to this point of like I can't do this anymore with somebody who like won't talk to me about what's going on. Like he also has like I don't know, like not an addiction, but like he has like an issue with gambling. Well, maybe addiction too, because he was hiding like, you know, drinking a lot and like getting really mean, and like I'm sick of being in a home where like I always feel on edge because I don't know how he's gonna react. And I think my kids feel that way too, especially my oldest, because it's like there's this like power struggle like between, not in, like from my son going towards him, it's just like normal teenage
angst,
like but it's like I don't know what it is, like if like my husband like feels threatened by it, but he like is really like aggressive, has never like touched any of us, but like just really aggressive, will like get up like in your face, and I'm just like, what is happening right now?
But he's never been physical.
No.
Okay. That's
but
good.
it's just like, I almost, like, there have been times where I'm like, oh my God, like, he's gonna, like, cross that line, and I never thought this would happen, because, like, of how close he gets, like, and he'll, like, start screaming, and I'm like,
Yeah.
like, I'm just sitting there, like, what the hell is happening? Like,
yeah, and the issue with not communicating about it is we can make all the assumptions we want to, right? But we can't really mind read. It's not really us figuring things out. So I think something that would be really important would be, like, again, going back to those communication skills where we ask him what's going on. Because I can imagine, like, based off of like what we talked to in the past as far as like the money going missing and him kind of not opening up about that, that's a really big stressor. If you can imagine, like, I have to make up this money is missing, all these things are supposed to be happening with this money, and so he's never reaching his baseline. He's always in this state where his emotions are up. He's in an elevated state of being and not able to react appropriately how he would have in the past. Like you saying, like, this stuff is, you've never seen him like this. So if you guys want to work on things, which I know you've put a lot of effort into it, and I'm not saying like you have to work on it, because if that's not the place you're in, because you got a lot going on, maybe it's not the best time to work on it. Maybe taking a break is what you and the family need.
Yeah.
But when going back to it, letting him know, like, I need to know where you're at before we have these conversations, because you're not the same person. And having him recognize, like, maybe drawing it out, like this is where you used to be and this is how you used to react to things, and kind of asking those clarifying questions. What's going on? Like, I need to know.
Yeah.
And it could be something where he is able to open up, right? Talking about, like you said before, like, just being able to talk about it has the ability to kind of release some of that frustration. So maybe not right now, maybe when school's kind of on that break and stuff, maybe you guys can revisit this.
Yeah.
And like sit down and like talk about it when, and have him recognize that, because maybe it's something he's not seeing himself.
Yeah. I like that idea. I think historically, like, when I've like tried to like bring up like talking about things, or like even when I've changed the way that I communicate, and I recognize that, and then he'll like come in and like attack, like, stop trying to counsel me, and it's like, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you, but you're talking different, and it's like,
I'm trying to de-escalate the situation.
I'm trying not to scream right now. But yeah, and so like when he sees me, like, I was hopeful like it would end well, but like when he sees me staying like cool, calm, and collected, it like he escalates, and I'm like, I just find myself like this most recent time like just sitting there and like
just letting him go.
Yeah, like anything like I tried to like throw out there, and like I'd get shot down, and like, you know, now I don't feel very supported by like this career choice that I've made, and like this area I'm really passionate about, and he's like talking about how stupid it is, and I'm like,
it's incredibly hard. You've invested so much into it.
I have, and I recognize that and how much I enjoy it, and I'm like I'm okay like with that, but I'm just like, that's just so mean. Like, and I don't want to be in a relationship with someone where I feel alone, and I keep finding out things that are being hidden, and like I'm again like back to me like feeling like I have to like save everybody, and like, right, like the savings account, like I told you about, like every time like I save, we have separate accounts and always have, but every time like I save for a vacation or like my school, because the thought of like student loans is terrifying me. But like, you know, every time like something comes up with him, like he like way overspent or like gambled on something, or and I have no idea it's happening. It's just like it comes up when he's in trouble, and then I come in and fix it, and I'm done fixing everyone.
As you should be. Yeah.
It sucks. It's like I'm proud of myself for being in this place and recognize, like, I notice all this growth that I've made, but it sucks. Like, this isn't how I saw my marriage going, and my relationship with my brother. I thought he'd be better by now and have a home or a room somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a lot at one time to go through, and you coming and showing up, like just in you showing up to therapy, that shows a lot of strength in you. Like, you have all this other things. Like, I can imagine just sinking into a hole and wanting to just like sleep, you know? Like, it's exhausting to take on all this emotional strain. So coming and working on yourself and trying to grow and get some help, that's really important. So I do want you to also, again, recognize those strengths of yours. So I'd like you to take some time, like you said, your brother wrote you while you were at work, right? And you did the right thing putting that away, like recognizing this isn't the time and place to deal with this, right? So you put the phone away. So when those moments come up at work and you're trying to separate that, because it's going to be really difficult. So I think like one of the things that we can kind of take away from this is recognizing, like, I'm going to have some hard crap that comes up, right, throughout the day. And if I need to get through the day, how do I push that away? How do I push those feelings away? And then when I get home, I can revisit them, right? Yeah. Because it's hard when we're in our workplace and those hard things come in and we can't focus on what we need to, right? And then we get really hard on ourselves because I'm behind and I'm not meeting this requirement, and I'm allowing this now personal life to come over into my professional life. And when we're going through those things, it's really hard. So unless we're able to take a break, like honestly, some FMLA at this point would probably be a good idea. You know, you got times going on, but if that's not an option, like what are some of the skills that we could work on taking care of ourselves, so that we don't have that reflection later on, thinking how much you regret allowing this to consume you while at work. So that's some of those skills that we worked on before. Have you been practicing any of those, like kind of doing the 5 senses, bringing yourself back?
Yeah, it's helpful.
Good. I also think that one of the skills that I had mentioned before, but we didn't talk about just now, was the writing the thing down. Yeah. Because in doing that, you can tell yourself, I will get back to this later, right? Because one of the things is in our brains, if we don't like take a moment to acknowledge this, our brains will keep saying like, oh no, I'm gonna forget it, I'm gonna do this, because it's trying to solve a problem. But if you're able to write it down, you can stop block it. Like, no, I can return this later, I've written it down. And so that you can keep allowing yourself to get on track. It's one of those things, like, it's gonna be hard at first, right? But practicing that skill will allow us to kind of keep bringing us back to that present moment, to keep us mindful of like kind of what we're doing now. Does that sound like something you can try? I know you got so much going on, and I wish I could just be like, let me just take it away and it doesn't matter anymore, you know? But I know that's not an option. So I want to know that you got something fun planned for yourself. Like, I know you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah,
but
we need to make it though.
Yes,
it's important.
Definitely. So maybe you can think about something that can be self-care, you know, an opportunity for you kind of just focus on yourself. Do you think that there's any time you can kind of squeeze out there?
Yeah. I think, there is. And like right now, I'm enjoying all the things that Christmas bring, and enjoying the time with my kiddos and looking at all the lights and watching all the Hallmark movies. Like, they're so cheesy and they always have a happy ending, and that makes me really happy.
It's these little things, those little moments, you know? Yeah. Accumulating those positive experiences, because those are incredibly important, especially when we're going through a hard time. We can reflect back on those, like, you know, like the other day I'm sitting outside and this squirrel is just digging a hole, burying in this little nut, and it was just like, it made me smile because I remember just walking with my kids, and my kids were feeding, like throwing things out for the squirrels, but it brought me back to that moment, and it was just this little thing, but my daughter just laughed so hard when she heard the squirrel. And so it was that little moment that my brain was able to reflect back on, and it just, you know,
all the happy
brought me
feelings.
back all the happy feelings. So it is incredibly important, like, to do those little things and go out and feel that joy with your kids and see all those amazing Christmas lights
Yeah.
that are out there. There's some fun
It
ones.
makes me so happy. I really want to be the house that just keeps them up all year long.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be weird, so.
I'm excited for the day that they have, like they have the LED lights in the rooms that you can change
Yeah.
for the season.
Yeah.
Like I want that to be something that's cheap enough I can put around my house.
Yeah.
So I can put it up
I
for
love
different
that.
seasons. I know,
Oh.
me too.
Give me all the twinkly
We'll
lights.
just totally get out topic. But yes, please take some of the skills that we just talked about. One of the ones, you know, we practiced before. Try writing those things down. See if you're able to kind of put that stuff away for the moment, you know, and the more we practice it, the stronger that's going to be, and the more we're able to like separate ourselves. Of course, the hard things are going to consume us, and if it gets to that point, taking that walk, right, getting out of the building, recentering ourselves, and focusing on what you need, right, because you can't save everybody, and especially if you can't save yourself,
Yeah.
then who is anybody else going to have, you know?
Yeah.
So take care of yourself, because you're incredibly important, and this is exactly what we need in this field, and I'm excited to be able to work with you one day.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well, thank you for coming in. Again, I'm so sorry that you're going through all this, and we're going to get through it.
Yeah. See you in a couple weeks.
Okay, we'll talk to you
Bye.
there. All right, bye. I better have work this time.